If you're a 7 to 8 figure e-commerce brand owner or a high ticket coach who is spending $15,000 or more per month on paid ads, and you struggle with spending more money on paid ads to increase your revenue, but only to take home less profit, then in this video, I'm going to be teaching you timeless principles behind what I call the art of going deeper in your messaging to dig up more money. See, the problem now, a little background on myself. My name is Zechariah, and for the past 6 years, I've been managing ads, spending over $17 million on paid ads for my other clients, 7 and 8 figure, and even actually a 9 figure, a multiple 9 figure a year e-commerce brand, as well as high ticket coaches, and in my own business, developing these principles I'm going to be teaching you today that I've completely just learned from actually being in the shadows and doing this every single day as a full-time entrepreneur. Okay. And so I'm not teaching you theory. I'm teaching you what actually works. And that's the difference. If you want a video where you're going to get a lot of buzz terms and a lot of stuff, a lot of fluff in the air that sounds good to you, it makes you feel bubbly and feel good, this is not the video for you. Okay. So in this video, we're again going to be going into the art of going deeper in your messaging to dig up more money. The number one way we're going to be able to get there in our understanding is by understanding this. Your yield is in your field. One time I was walking home, leaving the gym, and I was just thinking about how just in life in general, myself and many other people, probably yourself as well, you've experienced this, have this belief sometimes that the grass is greener on the other side. What do I mean? You look at your situation and you look at someone else's situation and you see all the highlights of their situation and you think that their situation is better than your situation. And so therefore you're discontent with your situation. You're unsatisfied with your situation. And then you become a little depressed because you think you're missing something on your side of the street and you think that they have something that you don't have. Most likely, you just see their highlights and they see your highlights, and the same thing's happening both ways, right? And so I was thinking about it and I was like, man, this happens in advertising. And I experience this every single day. Companies and brands come to me and they say, hey, man, we've spent more money on ads. We've hired more content creators. We've hired better video editors. We've tried to offer more discounts and promotions. We tweaked features and tried to market the new features. And all the while I'm listening to them, I'm like, you're missing the golden nugget. It's your messaging. It's not all this other stuff that people actually don't care about. People aren't going to purchase from you because your video was edited better or because you spent more money on ads. They don't even know you spent more money on ads, right? Or because you have some new feature on your product or offer. People don't care. People care about investing in, well, how is this going to help me? What is the result? The dream outcome. That's what people care about. And so the principle of your yield being in your field is the principle that instead of going to try to acquire more in different kinds of fields, content creators, video editors, more money on ads, more ad platforms, etc., and instead of going to acquire more fields in different kinds of fields, keep your focus on the field beneath your feet where you're planted 10 toes down and dig and dig and dig and see the wealth that is sitting in the soil underneath your feet. And in doing so, you're going to make a lot more money without as much effort and without as much spending as much money, right? So your yield is in your field. Keep that in the back of your mind through the rest of this video. Number two, the second principle I'm going to be teaching you is the parable of colors. Now, while I was creating this video for you, this training, I was sitting thinking, and I was like, man, you know what? Jesus teaches a lot in principles, and so I'm going to do that. And I came up with this parable, and my wife kind of helped me a little bit as well, bring it all together. But anyways, the parable of colors. It goes like this. There were two painters. One who believed to get 25 different colors of paint, he needed to go buy 25 different bottles of paint. The other who believed in order to get to, I could get to 25 different colors of paint with just 5 bottles of paint. So they each went out and they bought their bottles of paint. The one 25 bottles, the other only 5. And guess what? The one who bought 25 bottles of paint only ever had 25 different colors of paint because he couldn't see. He in his mind, to get more colors, he had to go spend more money buying more bottles of paint. He never saw how if he just went deeper, if he just stuck to the field that he had, which was those even 25 bottles of paint, he could exponentially boom his yield. But he just never saw that. So he went and bought the 25 bottles of paint, and he also just went on to acquire more and more bottles of paint over time. But the one who understood, I can take 5 bottles of paint and make each of the 5 colors be included or excluded from a mixture, he did some math and realized, man, if I do this, that gives me 32 combinations of paint. If I just go 2 to the 5th power, that's 32. That gets me 32 combinations of paint. And I not only get to 25 colors, but I exceeded with a 5th of the amount. And then he did some more math and worked some steps here that I didn't include to keep this simple, but he did some more math and he realized, oh, if I actually adjust the combinations and tweak the ratios of those combinations in these ways, I could go from 32 combinations of paint to 78 combinations of paint or colors. And then he realized, oh, what if I just went out and bought one white bottle of paint and one black bottle of paint? And so introducing white or black, to each mixture, he realized it would create tints. It would create lighter versions, and it would create shades. It would create darker versions, further expanding his palette. And he came to see, he did a little math, and he came to see if each base mixture can be adjusted to 5 different tints and 5 different shades. The total becomes 78 times 10 because there's 5 different tints, 5 different shades. It becomes 780 possibilities of colors off of just 5 bottles of paint. This painter understood that his yield was in his field. The other painter thought there's more grass that's greener and different shades of green in other fields and other places. I've got to go out and get that to be able to have this. And guess what? By him doing that, he only got to 25. He only ever got to 25. But this guy off of 5 got to 780. And this is real math. You can actually go and do the math and you will come to these numbers, right? And so anyhow, that's the parable of colors. Okay. So you've got, if you want to stop spending more money only on paid ads, only to make more revenue and take home less profit, then you've got to master the art of going deeper in your messaging in order to dig up more money. You're never going to get there, not in this way, not in the way that's truly possible, by doing what everyone else does. You're only going to get there by going deeper in your messaging, because that's what people are buying, is your message. It's not all this other stuff that's distracting. It's your message. Okay. And the third thing is I'm actually going to show you a case study. I'm not about teaching theory. I'm about teaching results. Okay. So, and in this case study, basically you see very clearly the parable of colors. You see very clearly the principle of your yield being in your field shown here. So this is a 7-figure e-commerce brand. They haven't gotten to 8 figures yet. And so that we're working with. So in 2023, they had an advertiser, someone else who was running the show. I didn't even know about them at this point yet. So they had another advertiser, and you can see, I'm just going to compare Black Friday, like the day of Black Friday for them in 2023 to the day of Black Friday for us with them in 2024. And you're going to see this. You're going to see what I'm just taught you, these principles beautifully displayed. Okay. So Black Friday, the day of Black Friday, 2023, November 24th, 2023, their Shopify reports that they made $32,000. And then that same day, November 24th, 2023, Their Facebook reports that they made $31,000. Now, number one, there's an issue. The tracking is off. Facebook is definitely over-reporting because this client has, I believe, almost 100,000 people in their email list. They have quite a loyal and engaged email list. And this client also had, at this time in 2023, a little over 300,000 followers on Instagram, true followers. And I'm not sure how many subscribers at the time on YouTube they had, but right now they're at 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. So anyways, but let's just assume Facebook is accurate. Realistically, this was probably really like $22,000, $23,000, $24,000. And I'm saying that because I know how accurate the tracking actually was when I stepped in to take over this account. But let's just be charitable and let's say they actually made with Facebook ads $31,000 the day of Black Friday. Okay. They spent $5,000. So they spent $5,000 to make $31,000, giving them a ROAS. If in case you're a high ticket coach and you're not familiar with what ROAS is your return on ad spend. It's a ratio. So they had a ROAS of a 6.41, meaning for every dollar they spent, they made $6.41 back, which is an outstanding return. That's a crazy return. You don't even get near that like with traditional investing, right? So anyways, crazy return. And so they spent $5,000 to make $31,000, putting them at a 6.41 ROAS. This is inflated, but let's be charitable and let's just pretend it's true. Okay. So that's November 24th, 2023, day of Black Friday. Now we get over to this past Black Friday at the time of the recording of this video, November 29th, 2024. Okay. Their Shopify reported that they made $28,000. Now here's a few factors. Number one is their supplier is located in Florida. And unfortunately, within a month and a half of Black Friday, before Black Friday, there was a series of pretty bad hurricanes that their supplier suffered through. So they only had so much inventory, so we could only make so much money, unfortunately, due to just natural disasters, right? Nevertheless, even with that, and the other factor is I'm about to show you in a second, but even with that factor alone, we still made almost the same amount of money. We're like $3,500 shy of what they made the year before. Year before, $32,000. This year, almost $29,000. Okay. Now, here's the difference. We only spent $1,000. This is November 29th, 2024, the day of Black Friday. We only spent $1,000. The year before, they spent basically, let's just call it $500 or $5,000. They spent $5,000. We only spent $1,000. Just like the painter in the parable of colors who only bought five bottles of paint and spent a fifth of the other painter and only had a fifth of the amount of bottles of paint as the other painter. We spent a fifth of the other advertiser, right? We spent the fifth. We made $24,000, which this might be slightly inflated. So let's just be conservative and say $22,000. So we spent the fifth of what they made. We made, let's say, $22,000, right? Or overall, you could look at it and say we spent the fifth of what they made and made almost the same amount of money overall because the ads impact their organic and email marketing. And not only that, we spent the fifth of what they made, and we were almost 4 times as profitable as they were. We were at basically a 22 ROAS. They were at a 6.41. 6 times 4 is 24, right? So 22 ROAS to a 6 ROAS, you know, and how did we do this? You may be thinking, how in the world is that even possible? To spend a fifth amount of money and get 4 times the profitability. It's possible because we spent the whole year. I took over this account February of 2024, and we spent the whole year being data driven about digging into the messaging and refining the messaging over and over and over and over and over and over again to maximize our profitability without having to spend any more money doing it. To 4x our profitability without having to spend any more money doing it. To make about the same amount of revenue while spending actually a fifth of what was spent the year before. And just to even show it to you that this isn't a fluke day, right? So On their best day of the year, and this was the best day of sales that they had the whole year. Their best day of the year, they had a 6.41 ROAS, and that's being charitable. It's probably really like a 4.8, somewhere between there and like a 5.2 or something like that, right? And so, but let's be charitable and say it's a 6.41. That's on their best. This is the best they did all year, the best day. On a normal day for us, we can get a 6.69. This is August 22nd. I just literally went in, clicked on a random date. That was just before Q4. I was like, I want to make sure it's before Q4. This is a month and a half before Q4 even started, right? And we're getting a 6 ROAS. Our typical now, we're typically anywhere between like a 4.8 and a like 6.5 ROAS just on a normal day throughout the year, right? And so, how is that possible? And we do that without any crazy offers, adding new products, new content creators, using the same content creators over and over again, the same editing styles, and the editing styles aren't that complicated. They aren't that flashy, right? They aren't. They're relatively speaking mediocre, our average piece of content, but we focus on the messaging. We actually don't want super crazy edits so that people aren't distracted by the edits from the messaging. We want the messaging to seep through, but we need to make sure that obviously the edits are good enough to captivate people's attention. And so at a fundamental level, right? And by just digging into the messaging and moving the market to make more decisions and take more actions with, in this case, purchasing, we're able to do this. And it's just digging into the messaging. So anyhow, if you are a 7 and 8 figure e-commerce brand owner or a high ticket coach spending at least $15,000 or more per month on paid ads, and you want a team that understands the art of going deeper in your messaging to dig up more money for you, then in the description down below is a link to my free training where I show you how my team and I at Script Authority are doing this and how we use what we call our scripted secrets to take our clients every single day to new levels. Okay. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay. Bye-bye.